King.
Sports Radio 1250.
Yoink and double yoink and triple yoink.
Sports Radio 1250.
WTAE.
WTAE. Doug Hoerth.
Not quite, and not really a reasonable facsimile thereof. 642 on Sports Radio 1250 WTAE. My name is Laurence. I am the producer of this show. That means when Doug is sick, or Joe DeStio is sick, or Bill DeFabio is sick, I still have to be here to press buttons and read you things like this. Ray Walker tonight on Sports Radio 1250 WTAE. He'll be broadcasting from the East Igloo Club at the Civic Arena. That's 6 o'clock tonight, live, not dead. And I don't think Ray will be sick. It'll be from the East Igloo Club tonight, 6 on Sports Radio 1250 WTAE. Right now it's 12 degrees, brisk and cold with snow showers today. 1 to 2 inches expected, a high of 23 degrees. Tonight, cloudy, snow showers going to flurries, and a low of 13. And then on Thursday, variably cloudy, brisk, a few flurries, and a high of 32 degrees. As far as we know, the winter storm warning for Cambria, Somerset, and the mountain ridges of Fayette and Westmoreland counties still in effect. 4 to 6 inches expected there. Winter weather advisory for Armstrong, Butler, and the rest of Westmoreland and Fayette counties, 2 to 4 expected there. And don't you forget that we'll be giving away a pair of tickets to see Elvis the concert sometime before 10 o'clock this morning on the Doug Hoerth Show. The Elvis concert Tuesday, March 17th, 7:30 p.m. at the Civic Arena. We are doing the best of Hoerth today. Fun stuff from past Doug Hoerth shows, and I hope you're enjoying it. 6:43.
It's the best of Doug Hoerth, or at least that's what he told us.
Study by John Robinson, Free Godby, Penn State, drawn up for the General Social Survey. A comprehensive set of interviews conducted annually by the National Opinion Research Center, University of Chicago. All right? Now, the interviews show that in general, now this part makes sense, in general, sexual activity correlates highly with age and marriage.
There is a man among the sheep.
Unless you're Gene Wilder. Married people have more sex. Now, that would make perfect sense, wouldn't it?
Poor child.
They would have, Laurence, do this with me, okay? They would have more sex because they have a constant available partner. But married or not, people have significantly less sex as they get older.
You want me to do this with you? You want me to answer the phone?
No, you do it with me. Forget the phones. Sexually active senior citizens are the exception, not the rule. Now, Laurence, serious question. The frequency of sex starts to decline about when? The early something or the late something, age-wise? What do you think it might be?
The late 40s.
Late 30s. Late 30s. You can imagine where I'm at. Starts to decline around the age of the late 30s. Again, sexually active senior citizens are the exception, not the rule.
I guess those seeds start drying up by then.
I guess so. Now, very few adults in this country have highly active sexual lives with multiple partners. Again, that's true, damn it. I'm very upset about that.
Would you repeat that part?
Pardon me? The vast majority, very few adults in this country have highly active sexual lives with multiple partners. That's because monogamy, unfortunately, is in. All right? You might, if you're cheating on your wife, you might have an occasional hit with somebody, but...
1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
Yeah, exactly.
5 potato, 6 potato, 7 potato, 4.
Unless you're in your 20s.
My mom said 2 pigs, 1 potato, 2 potato, 3 potato, 4.
Unless you're in your 20s and you don't want to live to see your late 30s, okay? Multiple sex and more than one partner is, at the same time. What else do we have here? Now, Laurence, those who spend many hours at work, all right, let's say a workaholic, all right, is that guy more or less likely to have frequent sex?
My guess would be less likely.
That would be my guess, too. More likely.
More likely to have
frequent sex? The guy who spends many hours at work, more likely to have frequent sex because they are generally healthy, active people. All right? So, in other words, they got enough strength to work for 12 hours a day. They got enough strength to the rest of the day.
Not according to Nancy Travis.
I know who she is. All right, now, highly educated people. Do you think they have more or less sex than those not so educated?
Well, they're over in Green Tree. Would you repeat that question?
Highly educated people, generally speaking, do you think they have more or less sex than their not so educated counterparts?
All right, I'll go against the grain here. I'll say more.
Less. Less. And that is largely driven by women with graduate school degrees who have deferred marriage and relationships to concentrate on their studies.
Mova.
Now, this is less true of men because they feel less obligation to juggle household duties and their studies, often relying on their partners to do those tasks. Well,
no.
Those dirty men for you. Now, if you watch PBS, Laurence, do you think you would be more or less likely, would you have more or less sex than those who watch a primetime drama? You watch PBS, would you, generally speaking, have more or less sex than a guy who watches Homicide or Law and Order or something like that?
Now, I gotta say less.
More. More sex.
Who did this?
Well, this is for the University of Chicago. Don't blame it. Well, you know what they include, though, in the PBS? The Animal Planet station. All right? Now, if that isn't a good example...
Well, I suppose that's
If that
true.
isn't foreplay at work, you watch those lizards, boy, it gets you in the mood. Who would have thought that National Geographic specials or Ken Burns' History of Baseball could get people in the mood? But apparently it does. Now, jazz fans. Do you think they have more or less sex than other music fans, generally speaking?
I would say more.
More. After accounting for age and race, the researchers found that people who say they have a strong preference for jazz are 30% more sexually active than the average American, but not so for rock and rap. Rock and rap are right up there with jazz.
.654 Sports Radio 1250 WTAE. Lawrence Gaines, producer of this show.
Regal and
Mr.
the competitors'
What is
equipment
that?
sitting side by side. The Xerox Regal allowed us to do the work.
Yeah, we don't want that. Ha! Whatever that was. Being taken over. Anyway, it is 6:54, 12 degrees, brisk cold with snow showers accumulating 1 to 2 inches, high 23 tonight. Cloudy snow showers tapering to flurries at a low of 13. And then on Thursday, variably cloudy, brisk, a few flurries at a high of 32 degrees. 6:55. I hope your morning's going well. Whatever you do, if you got to go outside, you know what to do. You know the drill. Put everything on that'll keep you warm because we don't want you sniffling and sneezing and coughing, especially around here, because people tend to get sick and have to stay away from their shows. Mr. Hoerth, are you listening?
Brain Dead Radio at its finest. The best of Doug Hoerth.
Those who describe themselves as political liberals have more sex than moderates and conservatives. Self-described extreme liberals have the most sex, but interestingly enough, extreme conservatives are more sexually active than average. Now, the richest Americans have the most sex, but only about 5% more than the average. Sexual activity is most frequent among people with some college education, but declines for college graduates and those who have attended grad school for reasons that we mentioned earlier. Sexual activity among people who attend concerts and sporting events, more or less than others. Laurence?
I didn't hear that one.
Sexual activity among people who attend concerts and sporting events. Would that be higher or lesser than the average?
I'm going to say that's a tough call.
That is a very tough call.
Higher.
Higher is right. But you know who has more sex than people who attend concerts and sporting events? Those who own guns. This is why we call the gun for the male a phallic symbol, okay? He looks at the gun, he said, I'm ready, baby, let's go for it. Now, listen to this one. People who smoke and drink, Laurence, more or less sex as those who do neither. People who smoke or drink, more or less sex than those who do neither.
Less.
More. People who smoke and drink report having almost twice as much sex as those who do neither. So all of you people out there living healthy lifestyles, if I were you, I'd light up. People who smoke and drink report having almost twice as much sex as those who do neither. People expressing lack of confidence in the presidency have more than the average amount of sex. So the more doubts you have with Clinton, well, what do you want me to do, Doc? Carry it. Never mind. Sports Radio 1250 WTA.
This is ridiculous.
Doug Hoerth is my name. Hope you know who you are. Sports Radio 1250 WTA. So anyway, the sex survey, richest Americans have the most sex, and sexual activity is twice as high for people who smoke and drink. It's going to be very discouraging to the anti-tobacco. I wonder why that is. Doesn't make any sense. You figure you're not going to live as long, you might as well. That's the answer. You smoke, you drink. Hey, I ain't going to live as long as the average guy. I got to get these in now, you know. But I was talking about my own sex life, and Borelli gets very uncomfortable when I talk about these things on the air. Why do you have to do that? Because I tell you people everything. This shift is a killer when it comes to sex. Reason being, you're tired all the time. You are too tired to do anything. All you want to do is sleep. And when you're not sleeping, you're thinking about sleep. Even when you're sleeping, you're thinking about, oh my God, when am I going to have to wake up? It's very, very debilitating. And even more debilitating in our case because weekends, half the time she has to work 1 of the 2 days.
But do you find yourself doing this all the time? Oh, what time is it?
Yes, absolutely. Is it 3 o'clock yet? Meaning 3 a.m. Because 3 a.m. is when you get up, or when I get up, to start to do this thing all over again. The other thing about sex that I find very interesting, and guys over the age of 40, I think you can relate to what I'm saying. Guys under 40, don't even worry about it, okay? When it happens, you'll say, oh, Doug was right. I remember him saying this 20 years ago. Seriously, when you get over 40, even well over 40, which I am, you are every bit as good as ever in just about every way, shape, and form. In fact, you might even be better because you have experience that you didn't have before. And if you're lucky, you've had many experiences that have made you more caring, that have made you more nurturing, that have made you better able to appreciate what the sex act is all about. Because when sex is good, it's wonderful, and even when it's bad, it's still pretty good.
Doug Hoerth. Your ticket for Pittsburgh Sports Talk.
Sports Radio 1250.
Sports Radio 1250, WTAE.
WTAE.
Pittsburgh.
12 degrees and flurries at 7 o'clock. Good morning, Joe DiStio. Sports Radio 1250, WTAE. Robins are shivering, daffodils are quivering. There's a winter storm warning this morning for Cambria, Somerset, and the mountain ridges of Westmoreland and Fayette counties. They could get 4 to 6 inches. Winter weather advisory for Armstrong, Butler, and the rest of Fayette and Westmoreland. 2 to 4 inches possible. Now, in the state of Indiana, thousands still without power and cars stuck in the snow.
Rock it back and forth, clean it off, and a lot of our neighbors got stuck. We all helped each other out.
Quick work by police. 2 men arrested and charged